Welcome to TVI Tips from Amanda. In this video, we're going to be looking at a Samsung Galaxy 7 using Voice Assistant or TalkBack, depending on which device you have. It's the Android operating system's screen reading software. And we're going to talk a little bit about how it's similar and how it's different to VoiceOver from Apple devices. And we're just going to do some little how-tos for moving around within using the Voice Assistant accessibility settings. So before we start, let's talk about what's available on our device. We have a home button at the bottom. Some Apple devices have home buttons and some do not. On the right side, we have a button that you can press that will wake up your screen, and on the left side of the device are your volume up and down buttons. So once I activate the screen either by hitting the home button or the button on the right side of the device, I will need to swipe up twice and then input a special movement on the phone to unlock it. So we're just going to listen to TalkBack or Voice Assistant and see what she has to say.
2:12 p.m.
So I'm trying to unlock her right now.
Draw unlock pattern to open.
Once she's unlocked or when she's activated, she's going to ask me to draw my unlock pattern.
Screen turned off.
Which
Lock
went away
screen.
because I was explaining it to you, so we're going to try again.
2:12 p.m.
So I really struggle,
Swipe
as you
with
can
two
see
fingers
here.
to unlock screen.
I have two fingers I'm swiping.
Draw unlock.
There we go. It's a big swipe.
Cell 5 added. Cell 4 added. Cell 1 added. Cell 2 added. Cell 3 added. Cell 9 added. Cell 8 added. Cell set pattern completed. Device unlocked. Page 1 of 2 default page.
So two quick things to note. I think Voice Assistant sounds a lot more computerized than the way VoiceOver sounds, and I personally don't like that. It might be a turnoff for some students that you're working with, as this video is intended for TVIs who will be teaching TalkBack to their students or Voice Assistant to their students. And then the other thing that I actually thought was really cool was when I was drawing that image, it was reading me the number of the cell.
Screen turned off.
Turn the screen back on.
Internet.
So it was
Double
reading me
tap.
the 9 dots. It was telling
Double
me,
tap and hold to long press.
excuse me, it was telling me which dots I was pressing, which I thought was really neat because if I heard the wrong one, then I would know to stop and start over. So just like on an Apple device, at the top of our screen we have a status bar. So I'm just going to glide across that for you so you can kind of hear what it sounds like. Let's see.
Voice Assistant notification. Voice Assistant turned on. Gmail notification. Google. Google Play Services notification. Security alert. Galaxy Store notification. Email. Google. Galaxy Store notification. Galaxy Store notification. Samsung Experience Service. Bluetooth on. Wi-Fi signal full. Phone 3 bars. 53%. Battery 2:14 p.m. Battery 53%. 2:14 p.m.
So on Apple devices, I feel like there's a lot less available up at the status bar than there is on this Android device. That can be a positive or a negative, but I personally, since I'm not super used to using Android devices, feel like it's a lot of information in a small amount of space and it's easy to miss things. So when you're gliding around the screen, just take note of making tiny movements. I'm gonna move from the status bar now and start gliding around the screen. Just like on an Apple device, the main part of the screen is where the apps are located.
Screen turned
So
off.
gotta open my screen again.
2:14 p.m.
And I'm just gonna kind of glide around. That click that you just heard tells us that there's nothing under my finger.
Weather. Double tap to add.
So there's the weather on the
Double
top
tap to
left.
activate.
Top left of the screen. I'm gonna slide down.
The Google search. Voice search button.
So voice search
Double tap to activate.
is usually something pretty good according to a lot of my students who use Android devices. They love the fact that Google search is right there. I'm going to keep moving around my screen.
Google folder. One notification. Play Store. Camera. Samsung Pay. Phone. Messages. Internet. Apps. Double tap to activate. Back key.
I don't know if you could hear that tiny click right there, but that tiny click indicated that I was at the bottom of the screen. So before we move on any further, I just kind of want to talk about two other features on the screen that I haven't talked about before, and that is...
Move to the beginning. Recent key. Recent key.
Oh,
recent,
they don't
recent
actually
key.
show up when we're using TalkBack, so maybe they'll light up in a little bit. There are two lit up buttons at the bottom of the screen. On the left side is kind of like an app switcher thing that will bring open all the recent apps that you have and will allow you to go back and forth between them. And on the bottom right is a back button. So we're going to go ahead and excuse me, we're going to go ahead and try out some of our TalkBack or voice assistant gestures. We're just going to start right away with the basic gestures, and that is the swipe to the right to move forward or to the right on your screen.
Weather, Google. Double tap, Google search, voice search button, Samsung Pay. Camera, Play Store, Google folder, phone, messages, internet, apps.
And then move to the
Double
left.
tap to activate.
Swipe to the left to go back.
Double tap and hold to long press. Internet, messages, phone, Google folder, Play Store, camera, voice search, Google, weather.
So something
Double
that
tap and hold to long press.
something that I've noticed as I've been playing around is if on an iOS device, I can kind of swipe wherever my finger is. But I feel like sometimes when I'm swiping, if I accidentally swipe over an icon or an app on the screen, it will mess up where I am on the screen. So I'm going to see if I can kind of show you what that looks like.
Weather, Google, voice, play, Google folder, one notification.
Maybe I just
Double tap to activate.
maybe I was just
Double tap and hold to long press.
struggling. Now, one thing I do want to know is when you're gliding around, I feel like you kind of have to push relatively hard on the screen to glide. But when you're swiping left and right, it's a very soft touch to swipe left and right to move to this next item or the previous item on the screen. So another basic gesture is a swipe up and then down to cycle through navigation settings. I'm not sure if it'll do it on this home screen.
Screen turned off.
But
2:17 p.m.
We're going to try. So swipe up and down.
Move to the beginning. Weather.
Oh, sorry.
Double
Swipe.
tap and hold to long press.
It's swipe up or down. So let's try a swipe up.
R-E-H-T-A-E. Capital W. Whiskey. Begin.
So that's just reading us weather.
Capital W-E-A. T-H-E-R.
So swiping
Romeo.
swiping down spells the app or focus of the item in order, and swiping up reads the letters in reverse order when you're focused on an item. There are no navigation settings in this part right now. And so if you do a one finger double tap, it will open whatever
Google folder.
whatever
one
is in,
notification.
whatever's in
Double
focus.
tap to activate.
So I'm going to swipe until I
Double tap
find
and hold to long press.
I'm going to swipe until I find the internet.
Phone message. Internet.
And I've opened the internet. I just wanted to show you what the double tap looks like, and then we can swipe forward.
Valentine's Day 2020 link.
So here's what I was talking
Double
about.
tap to activate.
Here's what I was talking about. I did a swipe movement. I did not just tap, but for some reason this device registered that as a tap. So instead of it moving from this front top of the screen through, it thought I was tapping on this Google image, which is absolutely not what I wanted it to do. So that is probably a user error and not the way TalkBack works, but I just wanted to kind of bring that up, and I'm kind of glad it showed it to you so that you can see.
Screen turned off. 2:19 p.m.
So you can see what that looks like. So the basic gestures we just talked about are moving to the next item on the screen,
All images, phones, Google Apps button.
swiping
Last.
right, moving to the previous
Double tap
item,
to activate.
moving to the previous item,
Phones, images, all.
which is
Double tap to activate.
swiping to the left. Going through your navigation buttons, or in this case is going to read all to us.
Edit. End. Begin.
And see, again, I did a swipe, but it thought I was pressing on the search box, and so now it's not reading when I swipe up and down. It's just giving me that sound that kind of means whatever I want to do is not possible. So we have talked about what's available on the Android device as far as buttons go. We have talked about how to unlock this, wake up the screen and unlock the screen. We've navigated through the screen using the gliding movement and using swipes. We have opened an app using a one finger double tap. I think that's a lot for one video, so I'm going to stop video 1 here and start a second video where we're going to go over some of the back and forth and angle gestures so that you kind of know what those look like and how they work, and you can work on teaching them to your students.